Hello, and welcome back to Speak English Daily.
Hi everyone, we are very happy to see you here today.
Hello everyone, and welcome back. Today I want to tell you about something funny I noticed while reading comments from English learners. Someone wrote, "I had a 12 hours flight." I understood the meaning immediately, but the sentence sounded a little strange. It reminded me that even small grammar mistakes can make a big difference. Have you ever written something that felt correct, but later discovered there was a tiny mistake hiding inside it?
Oh, many times. And don't worry if you have made that same mistake, because it is one of the most common ones I see. English learners work very hard, so these little details can be confusing. The good news is that once you understand this rule, you will start noticing it everywhere, in conversations, books, videos, and even at the airport.
Speaking of airports, I love watching people before a flight. Some people look excited, some look nervous, and some look sleepy because they woke up very early. There's always a different story waiting at every gate. Travel brings so many emotions together in one place.
It really does. You hear people talking about their journey, their trip, their destination, and their travel plans. Then someone asks, "How long is your flight?" That simple question brings us to today's lesson without people even realizing it.
So let me ask you, if I say my flight was 12 hours, does that sound natural?
Yes, that sounds perfect. You were talking about the amount of time. 12 hours tells us how long the flight lasted.
Then what if I say it was a 12 hours flight? That sounds similar, but you already smiled when I said it.
I smiled because that is where many learners become confused. The first sentence sounds natural. The second one has a small grammar problem. It should not be a 12 hours flight.
Interesting. So one sentence is correct and the other is not, even though both use the number 12 and the word hours. That feels a little surprising.
English sometimes likes to surprise us. Little changes can have important jobs, and this is one of those moments. Once you learn it, your speaking becomes smoother and more natural.
I like lessons that appear in real life. We're not studying a long list of rules today. We are talking about flights, travel, airports, journeys, and trips, things people discuss every day.
That is the best way to learn. Instead of memorizing difficult grammar, you notice how people really speak. By the end of our conversation, this rule will feel much easier. For now, keep one question in your mind. Why do we remove the S?
That question is still in my head. Why do we remove the S? It feels a little strange because I learned that numbers bigger than 1 usually need a plural noun. We say 1 hour, but 2 hours. So why does the rule suddenly change when we say a 2-hour meeting? I think many beginners ask themselves the same thing.
They certainly do, and it is a great question. Let's begin with something simple. When you are only talking about time, you use the normal plural form. 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 10 hours. Nothing unusual there. The number tells us how many, so the noun becomes plural.
So if I say the lesson lasts 1 hour, that is correct. And if I say the lesson lasts 2 hours, that is also correct.
Yes, both are perfect, because you are describing the length of time. Now watch what happens when those words work together to describe another noun. Imagine we are talking about a meeting. We do not say a 2 hours meeting. We say a 2-hour meeting. Together, the words 2 hour become one description of the meeting.
Oh, so the words are acting like one label before the noun, instead of talking about time by themselves.
That is a wonderful way to think about it. They become a description. Here are more examples. A 5-minute break, a 10-day holiday, a 3-week course. In every example, the noun stays singular because it's part of the description before another noun.
Let me see if I understand. We can say the break is 5 minutes long, but before the noun we say it is a 5-minute break.
Perfect. You can also say the holiday lasts 10 days. Then you change it to it is a 10-day holiday. The meaning stays the same, but the grammar changes because the words have a different job.
That makes much more sense now. It's like the words put on a different hat. One moment they're talking about time, and the next moment they're describing something.
I like that picture. It helps learners remember the pattern instead of trying to memorize a long rule. English has many little patterns like this, and once you notice them, they become easier every time you hear them.
Before we continue, we would love to hear from everyone listening. What is the longest flight or trip you have ever taken? Tell us in the comments. We always enjoy reading your stories, and you might even inspire another learner to travel one day.
Keep listening carefully today because you will hear this pattern again and again in natural conversation. Soon, phrases like a 2-hour meeting, a 5-minute break, a 10-day holiday, and a 3-week course will begin to sound comfortable, and you will start using them without stopping to think every single time.
Now I keep thinking about flights. Let me ask you something I've always wondered. How long is the flight from England to Vietnam?
A direct flight from England to Vietnam is usually about 12 hours. Of course, it depends on the airline, the weather, and the route, but 12 hours is a good average.
12 hours? That is a long time to sit in one seat. By the end of the journey, I think I would be ready to stand up, stretch my legs, and walk around the airport.
I think most passengers feel the same way. After a long flight, people are happy to leave the plane, collect their bags, and finally reach their destination. It can be exciting, but it can also be a little tiring.
So if someone asks me about it, I can say it is a 12-hour flight.
Yes, that is a perfect sentence. You are using 12-hour to describe the word flight. There is no S on hour because those words are working together as one description.
I think I'm starting to hear the difference in my mind now. I would never say it is a 12 hours flight. That sounds strange after our discussion.
It does. The more you hear the correct form, the more natural it becomes. Soon your ears will notice the mistake before your brain even has to think about the grammar.
But wait a minute. I remember reading that the flight back is longer. Is that true?
Yes, and that surprises many people. Flying from England to Vietnam is usually about 12 hours, but the return trip from Vietnam to England can be closer to 14 hours.
Really? I would expect both flights to take the same amount of time. The plane travels between the same two countries, so why is one direction slower?
That's what makes this topic interesting. Many people think the pilot chooses a different path or that the plane makes an extra stop, but those are usually not the reasons.
I was about to guess that maybe the airline changes the route because of busy airports.
That's a reasonable guess, but even when the airline uses a direct flight, the travel time can still be different. The answer is hiding much higher than the clouds.
Now you have made me curious. I feel like we have turned a grammar lesson into a little mystery. We started by talking about one small letter, and now we're wondering why a plane needs more time to come home than when it goes away.
That's one of my favorite ways to learn English. A simple sentence opens the door to an interesting conversation. While we are talking, you keep hearing useful expressions like a 12-hour flight and a 14-hour journey. So the grammar becomes part of a real story instead of just another rule in a textbook.
You can't stop there, Mike. Now I really want to know the answer. If the plane leaves from one country and flies to another, why does the trip home often take more time? Is the pilot driving more slowly on the way back?
That would be funny, but no. The pilot flies at nearly the same speed. The big difference comes from something we can't see. High up in the sky, there are very strong winds. These winds are called jet streams.
Jet streams. That sounds like a difficult science lesson already.
I promise it's much simpler than it sounds. Just imagine a river in the sky. The water in a river moves in one direction. Jet streams are a little like that, but instead of water, they're made of moving air. The wind is very strong, and it usually blows from west to east.
So the wind has a favorite direction. It likes to move from west to east.
That's right. Now imagine you are riding your bicycle. If the wind is behind you, it gives you a little push. You feel like you are moving faster without working much harder.
I know that feeling. It makes riding much more enjoyable.
Now imagine the opposite. The wind blows into your face. You have to work harder and you move more slowly. Airplanes experience something similar when they fly through the sky.
So when a plane flies with the wind, it can reach its destination more quickly.
Yes, the wind helps the plane. That is one reason why a flight from England to Vietnam can take about 12 hours. The moving air helps during part of the journey.
And when the plane comes back from Vietnam to England, it meets the wind instead of following it.
Very often, yes. The plane spends more time flying against the wind, so the journey becomes longer. That is why you may hear about a 14-hour flight instead of a 12-hour flight, even though the countries are the same.
I never knew that. I always thought every flight between two places had to take the same amount of time.
It is amazing that something we cannot even see can change the travel time.
Nature is full of little surprises. Pilots and airlines study the weather carefully because the wind can make a real difference. Sometimes everything goes smoothly, and sometimes the weather creates a small problem.
Is that why people sometimes hear an announcement about a delay?
Yes, there can be many reasons for a delay, but weather is one of them. You might hear that the flight has a 30-minute delay before takeoff. Once again, notice our grammar. We say a 30-minute delay, not a 30 minutes delay. It follows the same pattern as a 14-hour flight. The grammar stays simple, and now you also know a little more about the wonderful world above the clouds.
I love that we started with airplanes, but now I keep hearing this pattern in my head. I wonder if it works in everyday life too. Let me test myself. This morning, I took a 5 minutes walk before breakfast. Did I say that correctly?
You were very close, but there is one small change. It should be a 5-minute walk. The words 5-minute work together to describe the walk, so minute stays singular.
I did that on purpose because I wanted to see if you were paying attention.
Nice try. Keep testing me. That is one of the best ways to learn.
Here comes another one. Yesterday, I enjoyed a 20 minutes bus ride to the city.
Another good practice sentence. We say a 20-minute bus ride. Now if you say the bus ride took 20 minutes, then minutes is correct because you are talking about the time itself.
I think I am beginning to hear the pattern before I even finish speaking. Let me try again. Last summer, my family planned a 3-day holiday.
Almost. It should be a 3-day holiday. Then after your holiday, you could say, our holiday lasted 3 days.
This is becoming fun. I feel like I'm solving little puzzles.
That is a wonderful feeling. Learning English becomes much easier when you enjoy finding the answers instead of worrying about mistakes.
Here's another one. My brother works in an office and sometimes he has an 8-hour shift.
We would say an 8-hour shift. Many people work long shifts, so this is a very useful expression to remember.
My friend is planning a 2-week vacation next year.
That becomes a 2-week vacation. Then later you can say, our vacation lasted 2 weeks.
I have another example because I know many listeners work or study. My teacher gave us a 6-month project.
Good example, and just one little correction. It's a 6-month project. Some projects take a long time, but the grammar rule never changes.
Social media gives us another chance to practice. People watch a 10-second video and then another one and another one.
Very true. The correct expression is a 10-second video. It's short, Simple and something people hear every day.
Let me finish with one more. We had a 15 minutes conversation after class about homework and exercise.
Nicely done. We say a 15-minute conversation. Your homework tonight is easy. Listen for these expressions in English videos, books, or conversations. You may hear a 5-minute walk, a 20-minute bus ride, a 3-day holiday, an 8-hour shift, a 2-week vacation, a 6-month project, a 10-second video, or a 15-minute conversation. The more you notice them, the more natural they will become. Mistakes are part of learning, so keep speaking with confidence because every correction brings you one step closer to sounding more natural.
I have an idea. Since we've learned so many examples today, why don't we play a little correction game? I'll read some sentences, and you tell me if they are correct or if they need a small change. Everyone listening can answer before Mike does. It's a great way to practice and remember the rule.
I love that idea. Don't worry if you make a mistake. Mistakes help us learn. Listen carefully, think for a moment, and then check your answer with mine. Ready? Let's begin.
Here comes the first one. I'm taking a 5 hours class every Saturday.
Almost. The correct sentence is, I'm taking a 5-hour class every Saturday. Before the noun class, we use 5-hour without the S.
Nice. Here's the second one. We stopped for a 10 minutes break after lunch.
Almost again. It should be, we stopped for a 10-minute break after lunch. Remember, 10-minute is describing the break.
I think everyone is getting faster now. Let me try another one. We planned a 2-day trip to the mountains.
Almost. Say, we planned a 2-day trip to the mountains. Then, if you talk about the time by itself, you can say, the trip lasted 2 days.
That little change is becoming much easier to hear. I have another sentence. The meeting lasted 2 hours.
Correct. You are talking about the length of the meeting, so hours is plural.
What about this one? It was a 2-hour meeting.
Correct. This time, 2-hour is describing the meeting.
I think I understand why learners become confused. The words are almost the same, but they have different jobs.
That is true. The secret is to ask yourself one question. Are you talking about time or are you describing something? That simple question helps you choose the correct form.
Let's make everyone practice with us. Listen first, then repeat after me. A 5-hour class.
Great! Now say, the class lasted 5 hours.
A 10-minute break.
The break lasted 10 minutes.
A 2-day trip.
The trip lasted 2 days.
One more time because repetition helps us remember. A 5-hour class.
The class lasted 5 hours.
A 10-minute break.
The break lasted 10 minutes.
A 2-day trip.
The trip lasted 2 days. That felt surprisingly fun. I think speaking the sentences out loud makes the pattern stay in my memory much better than only reading it.
I agree. Reading is useful, but speaking gives you real practice. So whenever you notice a mistake, don't feel embarrassed. Smile, make the correct sentence, repeat it once or twice, and keep going. That is how confident English speakers improve. The more you practice, the more you will remember, and one day the correct form will come naturally without any extra effort.
After today's conversation, I suddenly feel like planning a vacation. We have talked about airports, flights, holidays, and journeys for so long that I want to pack a suitcase. What do you think? Should we imagine our perfect trip together?
I think that sounds like a great way to finish. Let's pretend we have 1 week free. What kind of vacation would you choose?
I would love a 7-day trip somewhere peaceful. Maybe a place with mountains, quiet streets, friendly people, and good food. I don't need a busy schedule. I just want time to relax.
That sounds wonderful. Now, let me ask you a grammar question while we're planning. Would you say a 7 days trip or a 7-day trip?
I know this one now. I would say a 7-day trip.
Perfect. Now imagine we have to fly there. The flight takes about 9 hours. How would you describe it?
Easy. It is a 9-hour flight.
Well done. We arrive at the airport, collect our bags, and look for transportation. The hotel is not very far away. We take a taxi, and it takes 30 minutes. Can you describe that ride?
It is a 30-minute taxi ride.
Correct again. You are making this look easy.
I was nervous at the beginning of this episode, but now I feel much more confident. I think listening to lots of examples helped me understand the pattern instead of trying to memorize a grammar rule.
That is one reason conversations are so powerful. You hear the same idea in different situations, and little by little it becomes part of your natural English.
Let me keep going. After we leave the hotel, we decide to visit a beautiful old town by train. The journey takes 2 hours, so we enjoy a 2-hour train journey while looking out the window.
Nicely said. I can already imagine the beautiful views passing by. After the train arrives, what happens next?
We leave the station and discover that the museum is very close. It's only a 15-minute walk, so we decide not to take another taxi.
I like that plan. Walking through a new place is often the best way to discover small cafes, interesting shops, and friendly local people.
You know what makes me happiest? At the start of today's conversation, I probably would have made several mistakes. Now, these expressions sound much more natural. I can hear the difference between talking about time and describing something.
And that is the biggest lesson of today. When you talk about time by itself, you say things like, the flight took 9 hours, or the vacation lasted 7 days. But when those words describe another noun, you say a 9-hour flight, a 7-day trip, a 30-minute taxi ride, a 2-hour train journey, or a 15-minute walk.
I have a feeling I will start noticing this pattern everywhere now, in books, on travel websites, in videos, and even in everyday conversations.
You probably will, and that is a wonderful sign that your English is growing. Keep listening, keep speaking, and don't be afraid of small mistakes. Every new conversation gives you another chance to practice. Before long, this grammar pattern will feel completely natural, and you will use it with confidence every single day.